Have you ever found yourself worrying about the future, about your job, your finances, your relationships, or even just what tomorrow might bring? Maybe you've stayed up late at night, your mind racing with questions. Will I have enough? Am I making the right choices? What if things don't work out? If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. In fact, people have been wrestling with these same anxieties for thousands of years. But what if I told you that there's a single verse in the Bible that offers a powerful solution to all these worries? A verse that can completely change the way you approach life. Today, we're diving into Matthew 6:33, and by the end of this video, you'll see how this ancient wisdom can bring peace and clarity to your everyday life. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." At first glance, it might sound simple, but there's a depth to these words that's easy to miss. To really understand what Jesus was saying, let's take a quick look at the context. This verse comes from the famous Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus was teaching a large crowd of people on a hillside in Galilee. The people listening to him were ordinary folks, farmers, fishermen, mothers, fathers, many of whom struggled just to get by. Life in first-century Israel was tough. There was no social security, no health insurance, and no guarantee of tomorrow's meal. People worried about food, clothing, and shelter every single day. Jesus knew their hearts. He knew their fears. And in the verses leading up to Matthew 6:33, he talks about these very concerns. He tells the crowd not to worry about what they will eat or drink or what they will wear. He points to the birds of the air and the flowers of the field, explaining how God provides for them, and then asks, "Aren't you much more valuable than they?" So when Jesus says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well," he's offering a radical new way to live. Instead of chasing after material things or being consumed by anxiety, he invites us to shift our focus. But what does it actually mean to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness? Let's break it down. The kingdom of God isn't a physical place you can visit on a map. It's about God's rule and reign in our hearts and lives. It's about putting God at the center of everything we do. Our decisions, our relationships, our dreams, and even our worries. His righteousness means living in a way that reflects God's character, choosing honesty, kindness, compassion, and integrity, even when it's hard. So, to seek first the kingdom and his righteousness means making God's priorities our priorities. It means asking, what does God want for my life? Before asking, what do I want? It's about trusting that if we put God first, he'll take care of the rest. Let me share a story that might help bring this to life. Imagine a young woman named Sarah. Sarah just graduated from college and landed her first job. She's excited, but also overwhelmed. She worries about making enough money to pay her bills, about fitting in at work, and about what her future holds. Every day, she checks her bank account, compares herself to her friends, and feels a knot of anxiety in her stomach. One Sunday, Sarah hears a sermon on Matthew 6:33. The pastor challenges everyone to start each day by seeking God first, through prayer, reading the Bible, and asking God to guide their choices. Sarah decides to give it a try. Instead of reaching for her phone first thing in the morning, she spends a few minutes in prayer, asking God to help her focus on what really matters. She starts looking for ways to show kindness to her coworkers, even the ones who are difficult. She volunteers at her church, using her skills to help others. Over time, Sarah notices something amazing. Her anxiety starts to fade. She still faces challenges, but she feels a deep sense of peace, knowing that God is with her and will provide for her needs. She realizes that by putting God first, everything else falls into place. Maybe you can relate to Sarah's story. Maybe you've been so focused on your own worries and plans that you've forgotten to invite God into the process. Matthew 6:33 is a gentle reminder that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. God knows what we need, and he promises to provide when we put him first. So, what does this look like in practical terms? It might mean starting your day with a simple prayer, asking God to guide your steps. It could mean making time to read a few verses from the Bible, even when you're busy. It might mean choosing to be honest at work, even if it costs you something. Or it could mean letting go of a grudge and choosing forgiveness, because that's what God asks of us. When we seek God's kingdom and His righteousness, we're saying, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. I believe that your way is better than my way. And here's the amazing promise. All these things will be given to you as well. Jesus isn't saying that God will make us rich or give us everything we want, but He is promising to take care of our needs. When we put God first, we can trust that He'll provide what we truly need: peace, purpose, and provision. As you go about your week, I challenge you to try this for yourself. Before you dive into your to-do list or start worrying about tomorrow, take a moment to seek God first. Ask Him to show you what it means to live for His kingdom and His righteousness today. You might be surprised at how your perspective and your life begins to change. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What does Matthew 6:33 mean to you? Have you ever experienced God's provision when you put Him first? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe Bible Verse Explained, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. Remember, when you seek God first, everything else falls into place. Thanks for watching.